Joseph Bazooka Joe Valtellini.
Welcome back to Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. In today's episode, we're talking about the technical takeaways from UFC 249. And it's going to start with my boy, Calvin Kattar.
How are you, man?
Good, man. You got to tell my boy Joe, we got elbow finishes out here now.
Yeah, I texted with him. He said as long as you landed a couple leg kicks, he was happy. But big win.
The biggest shot of the fight started with a nice long right hand. A lot of times when people throw that right straight, it's short. But when Calvin landed it, you saw that full extension in his lat, and that's what did the damage in that strike. Understanding that Stephens was exiting, and he needed that extra little bit of distance on his right hand. In the first round, he had to respect Jeremy Stephens' power, so he used a lot of movement. Eventually, he was throwing his straight punches, trying to find his jab. Calvin's best weapon comes in his right hand, which you've seen from a lot of his finishes, and he was just short of hitting Stephens, so he was just missing. So he made the big adjustment by lengthening the technique, and that's when he landed that beautiful right hand that started the finish and started to hurt Stephens, where he went, boom. You saw him extend with his lat, got full extension in the technique, and really popped Stephens' head back, which started the damage and eventually got the finish. Now, knowing that Jeremy Stephens was crashing forward, Calvin knew he could change that right hand from a nice long straight into a right elbow, which got him that big finish in the end. To take it up a level to get even more power, you saw Calvin use a skip step, which is that tie step to close distance. So now you have to imagine Stephens coming in, as I skip in, boom. That's when he got the full power, and that's what got Calvin Kattar the knockout. Understanding distance and range in his right hand. He needed the weapon nice and long in the right straight, or as Jeremy Stephens came in, boom, he found that right elbow.
Not always easy day when you're training with killers, and there's a lot of them in here. Definitely worth the trip, and to take all the tools I learned, all the tricks, bring it back home, add it to my game, and take it to Jeremy Stephens at UFC 249.
The second technical takeaway comes from Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. And Cejudo was using his distance control with a lot of feinting. If you watch the fight, Cejudo keeps feinting to get Dominic Cruz to exit, and that's when Cejudo was using his low kicks, which is a perfect setup. Because Dominic Cruz likes to move, Cejudo and his team decided to attack the legs. You take the legs away from Cruz, he can't move anymore. But there was a little bit more detail to the way Cejudo landed it. So with punch feints, you saw the way that Dominic Cruz exit, which left his legs open. When Dominic Cruz exited from the feint, if that leg was left there, you saw Cejudo jump in and take that outside leg, which was beautiful. So we'll do that one again. He feints, and he comes and he chops away, then keeps his distance and evaded the counters. Now, a lot of times to evade the power shot, Dominic Cruz made the adjustment by going into a neutral stance. So when the feint came, you saw that position. So now the outside leg was a little bit more difficult to land, but this is where Cejudo made the adjustment and really attacked on the inside leg. Boom, came in, attacked the outside. If you go square, he feints, comes back in, and chops the leg. So no matter which position Cruz put himself in, Cejudo had a leg to attack. So good setup there. Now what got him the finish was level changing. At that point, he knew he had Cruz's leg hurt, and that's when he kind of mixed it up, boom, and threw that left kick, and Cruz walked into it. So understanding that Cruz moves a lot, as well as his head moving a lot off center line, so Cejudo used low kicks and level changes to get the finish. The third technical takeaway comes from our main event. And Justin Gaethje was known for his power. He wants to get in there and he just wants to throw everything with bad intentions. But in the later rounds of this fight, something positive came out. And his coach Trevor Whitman kept saying, take 10% off the shot, which is a good strategy, especially when you're fighting 5 rounds. You need to be able to control your punches. In the beginning of the fight, Gaethje was winging everything, and you saw him missing with his big power shots, which kept him open. But once he started understanding that he needed to take the power off, especially in the 4th and 5th round, that's where a lot of success came. Every time he saw Ferguson step into mid-range, he had a jab, and that let him set up his power shots. So understanding his range and the difference in his power made him dominate in those 2 later rounds and got him the finish. And he did it by being first in mid-range. So every time Tony came in, he popped the jab. So boom, every single time. And you see, Ferguson, who was trying to close distance, ended up having to eat those jabs. But what this jab did every time he came in mid-range was kept the distance, which let him set up the right hand. So if he knew that time he was coming, boom, he can power up and he can finish. And especially when he put his power and his combinations together, he was rewarded even more. He didn't throw a single. The biggest damage he did was when he threw his punches in 2s or 3s. And then Ferguson couldn't take it anymore. But it was all set up from those well-timed jabs in that mid-range to set up the big power shots.
As talented as he is, he's even a better guy. He won't let us pay for a meal out here, taking care of us all week. You're in the Toronto area, get your ass out here and get some training in. Learn something. Not only is he a badass to kick your fucking teeth in, he'll also buy you lunch after. So great guy, class act. Come out and train.